Greetings, friends, and welcome to my daily reflection. Well, you sort of asked for it, so I'm back. When I posted yesterday my written reflection of feeling overwhelmed, saddened, at a loss of personal ministry contact, and being laid low, I had no idea it would evoke such connections. Now, I know that I was not alone in these feelings, but I just wasn't prepared for almost 200 of you to be reached by the post and to have so many of you respond in so many different ways. I am a processor, and I process in a couple of different ways. Sometimes I obsess over moments, events, and emotions. And sometimes I just file everything in a box I call later, which means that I spend one of those New York minutes thinking about something and then I dump it into the later box. As I sat home last night, I realized I'm obsessing. I've been obsessing for the last week or so. I had a dream and a hope that Joan and I would be able to spend our anniversary somewhere special this year. Silly me. It's not one of those milestone years, but I wanted us to be able to do something unique. First, it was a week in Hawaii. I had chatted with my friend Marty, who lives there now, and about a special restaurant for Joan and I to enjoy our special anniversary evening dinner. Well, Hawaii went out the window with a 14-day quarantine, and our airline making it almost impossible to get there and back. So we shifted our getaway to a railroad park resort in Dunsmuir, California. That's near Mount Shasta. Our unique celebration was to spend 2 nights in a refurbished Burlington Northern Railroad caboose. And then the LNU fire happened. Well, we did leave Wednesday a little later than we planned. We drove to Dunsmuir, where we enjoyed a walk and then checked in to our caboose. About 2 hours later, we packed up in about 10 minutes and evacuated to come home because our house was now in evacuation zone. Another cancellation. I know that my loss, our loss, is not the same as some of your losses. But feelings and loss are not part of a competition. Every loss hurts. Every loss causes pain. Some of those losses you recover from more quickly than others. But again, I've been obsessing. Not just about my lost anniversary celebration. I've been obsessing over the loss of so many things lately. And on Sunday, it really hit me how difficult it was to simply say that the Locarnini home and their stuff was now ashes. It was a powerful moment when God touched my heart of compassion so deeply. I want to express my admiration first to Rebecca and Aiden, who shared their grief and pain with me earlier today. Being open to the pain we feel and allowing others to see that pain and vulnerability is a gift. But sometimes it's a gift that's not received. Sometimes the recipient blocks it off. Well, Rebecca and Aiden, thank you for sharing that gift with me today. I believe I received it. I also want to say how honored I am to be the pastor of a congregation that has demonstrated Christian love to our siblings in faith. Money and cards have come in already, and more is on its way. This will allow the Locarninis to replace the needed items and to begin to rebuild. That is why for me, the congregation, the people of Shepherd of the Hills, deployed all over the world, is such a great example of God's love and care. I've also been on the receiving end of ministry from this community of faith. Last night it was a phone call from a friend 3 time zones away who called to check in. He wondered how I was doing. He knew about the fires. I had emailed people. He hadn't seen the Facebook post, though. He said he felt that God called him to call me. And I suggested, after we talked, that perhaps the next time he and God talked, he might want to see if I'm 3 hours earlier than he is, and the texting would have been okay. There was also an email from a fellow pastor telling me he had been checking in on our worship services the last couple of Sundays, and he was wondering how I was doing after my emotions were so visible last Sunday. He called later this afternoon, and we chatted. He said I looked drained, and I said I was. He too said that he felt God was saying, reach out to Bob and return the connection he has offered to you. I had unexpected guests in the office this morning. Rick and Laura stopped by to check in on me. How are you doing? She asked as she came into the office in her usual whirlwind of energy. Not quite a Cat 4 hurricane, but someone full of God's love for others. And this time she wanted to rain God's love upon me. God does indeed work in those mysterious ways. We just have to be alert to see them and to see the mystery. I've been obsessing, I know that. I've spent time this last week pondering what is happening, wondering about God's presence. Why do some suffer so much last week? Why do these tragedies happen to good people? Well, the Lockerninis have joined a club, and I'm sure they never really wanted to join it. They've been in that house for over 20 years, I hear. They've evacuated before. Some of their friends have returned back to empty plots. Now they did. That club, those who have lost homes in fires. We have other friends who have lost homes, and I'm sure they never planned on joining it. My two friends, one in Santa Rosa and one in Paradise, joined that club. They didn't want to. And now that club closes rank and offers support and sanctuary to their new members, a place to speak their deepest feelings, including anger and grief, and to be heard. We may not be part of the club, but I invite you to be able to hear the anger and the grief, to let it be heard, and to not have to have an answer for it other than, I'm sorry. I've been obsessing, I know. I also know that God has broken into my corner and said to remember that I have promised to be with you always. Remember yesterday's posts? Lo, I am with you always, from Matthew, even if it's spelled L-O or L-O-W. God says, I'm with you. I am. And I never break my promise. And sometimes God has to send others to me, to you, so that we can see that God is right there. So thank you, people of God, around the world and in this corner of the world, who have been the little Christs in my life this day. And thank you, God, for the most unusual gift of social media to do an incredible ministry. Think about that. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. I think I'm getting more normal, so to speak, less obsessed, but who knows? But I do look forward to seeing you on Sunday, to seeing your names scroll up the side of the page when I watch worship later. See you then. And until then, please remember, wash your hands a couple times a day, 20 seconds at a time. Use that wonderful hand lotion to make them nice and soft. Stay home if you're sick. Love one another. You've shown that love. Keep doing it, please. Practice the important physical distancing, 6 feet apart, unless you're part of a family, and then hug each other closely. On a side note, Rebecca feels the absence of those hugs in this time, and it was interesting to watch her and Laura hug it out this morning, members of the same club. Wear your masks when you're out and about. And of course, as Sergeant Esther House dismissed me this morning, be careful out there.